Well, the last 10 years, I was looking at some of the interviews you and I did, going back a few years.
How do you look?
They were brilliant.
Right.
Of course, you and I together, how can it not be?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised for any other result.
Anyway, it's great to see you, Ambassador, Mr. Ambassador. How many times have you been back to Ireland since you ended your ambassadorships? Quite
7.5.
7.5, huh? Okay.
The last time really was the first trip on the new jet service directly from the airport.
Oh, that's right.
We worked on that for 5.5 years, a group of us.
I know, a lot of people didn't know you were working on that. You said that on this program about 6-7 years ago. It was your ambition to get a direct flight here. And by golly, you never quit, did you?
No, it wasn't. There were a big group on this. Like, people came and go over the years, push here, push there, push this way, push that way. Ultimately, we got it done. But it's worked out fantastically for everyone. It's flight over, the flight back, no luggage, no things, no disappointments, no getting hung up in Chicago or New York.
Yeah, we took it last June we took it.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing it again this year. Colleen is going over. I don't know if I'm going to go with it or not. There isn't room for 2 of us on that plane. There'll be too much talking going on.
I don't know if there's enough room for just you.
Well, like I said to the ladies here, this is my chance to say a few words once a week, because I don't get a chance to say a word at home.
Go right ahead, Jerry.
Okay, anyway, did you meet your successor, Claire Cronin? I think you did, right?
Yes, I did.
Nice lady, huh?
Wonderful, wonderful, great personality, and both sides of it. Also, the ambassador to America from Ireland, which is very important.
I'm sure there's kind of a close association between all the ambassadors, all of you that serve. You probably meet each other once in a while and talk about experiences. Yours was a tough one because of the COVID, wasn't it?
Well, COVID was one half the problem. The other was Brexit.
Yeah, that's
the feud, 400-year problem between England and Ireland. You know, I spent a lot of time in Ireland thinking about that and working with the Irish government in visiting England on that subject.
There were a lot of people in England didn't want that. You know, I mean, it passed, but there was a lot of opposition to the passing of it too, wasn't there? There's 2 sides to that.
It's still not over.
No, you're right.
It's still not over. I remember just being in London in a meeting with the delegation from Ireland and the delegation, you know, I was an advisor, not allowed to speak, which is fine, but it was amazing how the word came up. What is the definition of the word obstacle or barrier? I heard people talk about the barrier, what a barrier is for 4 hours. Yeah. What is a barrier? You know, it was a real stalemate, you know, it was unfortunate. But it was a great effort and a great time for our family. Yeah.
I just got a break here for a minute. We didn't do the station identification. We have to do that. It's the law. So stand by.
The service of Salem Media Group, broadcasting from the Discount Drug Mart Studios. Proud to be celebrating over 50 years as your hometown pharmacy.
Drug Mart, one of our great sponsors here on WHK. But Ambassador, you brought a visitor with you today. Would you introduce him to me?
Yes. Mike O'Malley.
Now, is that the Mike O'Malley that's the prosecutor in Cuyahoga County?
I never thought you'd follow up with that question. But you're right, as sharp as you've always been.
At my age, how could I be sharp at this age?
No.
Anyway, Mike O'Malley, the prosecutor, great to meet you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jerry.
There's so many O'Malleys in town. You have to explain to me which O'Malley you are.
Well, I am the youngest of 11. My grandfather's name was Walter O'Malley. He immigrated from
Wait a minute,
Quran.
Walter did he own a restaurant?
That was,
Yeah.
well, when my grandfather, Walter O'Malley, came over from Ireland in the early teens, a little over 100 years ago, he came over with a brother, Charlie. And Walter, who had the Red Lantern, would have been Charlie's son. He was my dad's first cousin. My dad was also Walter. So Walter from the Red Lantern, also known as Green Slave, was my dad's first cousin.
Oh, okay, great, great. Well, we hear a lot about you in the news these days, you know.
Well, you know, being your Cuyahoga County prosecutor is certainly a demanding job. You know, I follow in a lot of footsteps of the prosecutors who became before me. And, you know, the level of crime that we're seeing today, not just in Cuyahoga County, but certainly in Franklin County and in urban counties throughout the country, is unprecedented. And, you know, we're trying to work with our local law enforcement agencies to certainly keep all the communities within our county safe.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of safety, Ambassador Crawford, you've been in business most of your life. You started your business way back in 1962. We've often talked about it. How does a prosecutor affect businesses that you have owned, would you say?
Let's just start with the name Blue. If you don't know what blue means, you got a problem, okay? And the key to the blue, a successful police force, is critical to have the support of the prosecutor. Without the prosecutor supporting good government, okay, and supporting the police force at all times, you've got a future slipping through your hands. And believe me, it's slipping here in Cuyahoga County. I find it interesting, and I'm excited, you know, most everyone says, well, you know, Eddie Crawford's a Republican. Well, not a Republican all the time. That. You know, I've crossed over, I've reminded somebody, I voted for John Kennedy, and I crossed over for others. This, and Mike represents a very, very, very important move against democracy and against good government. And one thing I've stood for is good government. I don't really care about where you're from or how you're coming. If I was treated especially, I wouldn't have probably been as successful as I am and have been. The question is, the situation here, when you can bring in an outsider, and I'm talking to Republicans, Democrats, independents, every aspect of it, this is a big issue. I wouldn't be here today, and fortunately, you know, Michael and I have a good relationship, and he represents good government, represents the blue, he represents everyone across the board fairly, and that result, we have to have this. And we have someone entertaining themselves with the support of people outside the state, you know, with income and dollars and being committed, okay? Who's someone who's, I call a newbie, and he's moved in and out of that community. I think he lived in New York City. That's not bad.
You mean Mike's opponent?
I don't even know the name.
Yeah.
I don't want to be helping. What's opponent's name?
Unknown.
Don't vote for him.
You know, we'll get around to that later.
This person's being funded by outside sources.
Right.
That's for sure.
That is they want to make the decision, and I'm here, and I think Mike's here, and we all should be here. That should not be the way it goes. You cannot step into a race with an unqualified person and take that vote away. It doesn't make any sense. The person may be qualified, maybe not. I don't think so. Everything has to be fair, but the bottom line is, this is 67 days from today. This is going to be resolved. And if it just goes the wrong way, bad for the blue, bad for Cuyahoga County, bad for the things, for safety, people getting shot in Cleveland Heights and so forth. Enough's enough.
Mike, explain to me the process when there's a crime committed? What happens? The police go arrest the person. We'll take it from there. What happens?
Well, generally, when crimes are committed, the individuals who commit the crimes are apprehended. The crimes are investigated by the local law enforcement agency, and those cases will be charged by their local municipal prosecutor. From the local municipal court, they will be sent downtown to my grand jury unit, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. We then take those cases in front of a Cuyahoga County grand jury and present the evidence, and then the grand jury makes the determination whether those cases are indicted and what charges are appropriate. They then are heard within the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court.
But how does the indictment come about? Is it do you guys give evidence
Right.
to the jury?
Yeah, at the grand jury level, we have prosecutors who present that evidence to the Cuyahoga County grand jurors, and they ultimately make the decision whether to indict that matter.
So they could, if they wanted to, say, I don't think this is a serious crime, let this person go. Could they do that?
Well, they would say there's no finding of enough, there's not probable cause to make a determination that the crime has been committed. So it's called a no bill, and that case would then be in effect dismissed for a lack of evidence to go forward with any type of criminal charges. So that does happen, and it happens, several hundred times per year. We have cases that are no billed, so that's not an unusual thing, that cases are presented to a grand jury and the grand jury reviews it and thinks there's not enough evidence here to prove it.
Is this what happened in San Francisco when that fellow, I think his name was Gascon, he was a prosecutor and he was letting people, criminals, how does that work?
Well, there has been a wave of what people would call progressive prosecutors throughout our country, who then take a hands-off approach on crime and continue to let people out or not charge them, and that what we have seen in those cities is crime escalate, the level of violence escalate, and there's been a whole movement throughout the country to try to put progressive prosecutors into the local district attorney's offices to try a new method of law enforcement. And what we've seen in all those cities is these experiments have failed horribly. In this our particular situation, I have an opponent who is raising money predominantly from California, New York, Washington, Oregon. 87% of the money he has raised has come from out of state. And this is an individual who just received his Ohio law license in July of 2022. He has never had a case in Cuyahoga County. He's never represented a victim. He's never represented a defendant. He's represented no one. He just got his law license, and he is being put forth by these out-of-state interests who are pushing his candidacy and pumping his candidacy full of money. And those people do not have the best interest of Cuyahoga County residents at heart, nor the safety of our community at heart. And that's why we all have to be aware of what's going on within our community today.
So it can destroy businesses, right?
Well,
restaurants?
We have seen it throughout the country where people, business owners, small business owners, are having a tough time surviving when their customers don't feel safe. And so that's why it's so critical that we maintain a safe environment for all residents of Cuyahoga County and all visitors in all neighborhoods throughout our county. Whether it's the downtown area or your local suburban areas, it's critical that we maintain public safety. When we have school football games being canceled, when we have these type of things happening within our community, it's unacceptable. People, no matter what city, what community you live in, you deserve to be able to walk down your street, fill your car up with gas, or send your child down the street for a gallon of milk. And they need to be able to do that safely in every community within our county.
What has been the response so far? You get around to a lot of the precincts, I'm sure. Are people talking a lot about
Well, I think after
crime?
Certainly they talk about crime. I mean, when you see shootings, on public square, when they're doing a tree lighting festival, when two juveniles are shot at a tree lighting festival on public square, when you see videos of people hitting the ground trying to, hide and seek cover, when shootings happen, when you see the regular news and you see young individuals who are the victims of homicides and other crimes that are being committed, there is a buzz throughout our community, and not just our community, throughout the country about public safety. Like I said, you're seeing it happening in city after city after city, and there's a new level of violence, and it's being committed, unfortunately, by individuals who are getting younger and younger. And, you know, we work towards rehabilitation. We want to get individuals on the right path, but when you start putting guns to the citizens, you know, we have to, at this point, you know, start sending the direction and the message that public safety does come first. We have to protect our citizens.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you get the message out? Here I am, Mike O'Malley. If you commit a crime in Cuyahoga County, you're going to jail. How do you get that message out, and is it a good message to get?
Well, you know what? I think the message has to be twofold. We certainly have to work towards rehabilitation. People with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, we have to try to get those people, those low-level offenders, healthy and keep them out of the system. But for those people who were putting guns to people, killing people, attempting to kill people, carjackings, we see rashes of these carjackings throughout the county. It's not, this isn't just a Cleveland situation. We're seeing carjackings all over Cuyahoga County. The message has to be, we will protect you. We will work with law enforcement. We will seek and find those who are committing these violent crimes. And you know what? We will seek justice on behalf of the victims of these crimes. Public safety is the highest priority.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Crawford, public safety. You travel a lot all over the world. You've been everywhere. What do you think is happening all over America? Is America changing from when you were growing up and when you were starting your businesses? You've traveled all over the world.
Well, it's not changing. It's changed.
It has changed.
It has changed.
And for the worse.
For the worse. And it's frightening, and it does affect business and business development. And it does affect food and food customers and anyone just going to the grocery stores. You know, we have to get tough here, get tough now, okay? This is going backwards. If Mike's not elected, we're going backwards. It's worse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's I don't know how to even explain, you know, the responsibility we have, you know, in Cuyahoga County, as a people, have responsibility to make sure that someone like Mike that has a track record, that speaks for the results, that has to be addressed and worked directly with him. Look, again, 60, I said it once before, 60-some days left. You know, this never even came to my attention. It never became an issue until 2 or 3 weeks ago. All of a sudden, I get a call from someone. I said, "Could you know what's happening here with the prosecutor?" I said, "Well, no. What's happening with the prosecutor?" Because there was no Republicans in the race. There's all Democrats in the race. This is great. You know, this is fine. But the question is, this is a very critical issue. It cannot be ignored. We'll pay for it for over and over and over. And just think about the children. It is just dangerous. You know, these school things. And we have to do the most. Mike's proven he can do this. He's Irish. I like that. That's a good part of it. You know, so I want to throw that in. I'm not totally biased, you know, but the question is, this is an important thing, and you know, I wish I had gotten involved in this earlier. And there's a lot of excitement right now. The mow is up for us. Believe me, this is the sailing. It's, you know, we don't have a little tugboat we got going here. We're going to get behind Mike O'Malley, his track record, and his family, big.
All right, I got to take a break, but I want to come back, Mike, and we want to talk about what could happen if you do not win this election. And that's if Mike is not elected. Mike, I was kind of surprised, actually, when you, when the Democrat Party did not nominate you or confirm you. I'm really surprised. Who do you think influenced that, other than the out-of-towners?
I would say, you know what, I came very close. You needed 60% of the vote, and I ended up having 58.5% of the vote to get the Democratic endorsement. But, you know, I think, you know, my own feelings are that, you know, there has been a movement, really since the county charter. There's been a lot less people really actively involved in the county party, so you're seeing a whole new wave of progressives come into the county party. And I think what we've seen is just almost a generational issue where you have that younger generation of progressives who, quite frankly, don't have the history, don't have the understanding of what public safety means and what it actually, what we within the prosecutor's office have to endure, and what local law enforcement has to endure. So, I think many of those people have the best intentions, but they're just not quite fully aware of what law enforcement in the prosecutor's office has to deal with on a daily basis. Prior to being the prosecutor, I was a Cleveland City Councilman, and I had the first-hand, a front row seat of what crime and what violent crime in particular can do to communities. And, it was from that perspective that, I worked towards, rehabilitating the low-level offenders, but when it comes down to these neighborhood issues of public safety, you have to keep people safe, or it's easy to just sell your house and move to another county or move to a further out suburb where you feel, more safe. So really, as far as stabilization of our communities, stabilization of our county, it's critical that people feel safe in all communities. And if you have a prosecutor who's not prosecuting, it's like the broken window theory. If you have a prosecutor who's not pursuing those low-level issues and continue to recycle people back onto the street with no consequences, their behavior will escalate. And it's critical that everybody has some type of consequence, whatever it may be, that you're monitoring them, you're keeping them in check, you're providing them with services and getting on the right path if you need to, but you cannot have a prosecutor who turns a blind eye to any criminal activity.
And criminals know this.
Absolutely, they do it, and we've seen it, Jerry, we've seen it time and time across this country with this wave of new prosecutors who have this type of mindset, that it has been a resounding failure in every community with which they came. We've seen recalls, we've seen it in San Francisco, we've seen it in other cities where people get a taste of it, crime's going up, and they won't tolerate it.
My first cousin lives in San Francisco. He's been there for 30 years. He said he has not gone downtown San Francisco in 4 years. He's afraid.
Yeah.
And he lives there.
Yeah.
So, are these some of the consequences if this other person takes over the prosecution?
They are, absolutely. He has publicly advocated for the abolition of police forces throughout our country, and this isn't the postings of a 15-year-old or 17-year-old kid. This is a 29-year-old man who's educated, who is publicly advocating to abolish police forces, and it just demonstrates a lack of understanding. There is no community within this county that could withstand not having a police force or a police department. And the thought that perhaps social workers with clipboards are going to respond to the scene of a homicide is sheer madness.
But what part of the community does that appeal to? I can't think of anybody who would want that.
I would say
non-black, white, doesn't matter.
I would say the fringes of society would advocate for the abolition of police. And again, what I found is really people in higher crime areas are the people who want police more than anyone. It's the people who are suffering through it, who can't leave their homes, who can't go to the store. Those are the neighborhoods where most frequently you'll see people demanding more police presence.
What do you think of that rule? I don't know what city it's in, or it's in several cities, where if you steal less than $1,000, you're not prosecuted from a store?
Yeah, well, I think all that does is encouraging more stores to be robbed, right? And so, again, no matter what the consequence, if people are violating the law, they need to be held accountable. And you just can't have people going into stores. We see those type of robberies where they go in malls and they steal tens of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise and run out. We see it time and time again. And again, there has to be a consequence for every violation of the law.
But Mike, when you see these robberies on TV, people charging through these stores, walking out to televisions, and the police standing there not saying we're not doing anything. Who's telling them that? Is it the mayor? The prosecutor can't tell them not to. So you're not over the police department, right?
I am not over the police
So
department.
is it the mayor of those cities? That
Well,
says
some of
the
those
police don't?
videos you may see might be private security guards in those particular businesses,
Oh, I see.
and they're trying to balance their own perhaps civil liabilities with trying to stop this. But more and more you're seeing stores and their security putting up a fight to it, because you'll see those smash and grab robberies happen where they break display cases, they're stealing jewelry or expensive coats or expensive purses. So oftentimes it was the private security, but again, stores are becoming more aware of it. They're also realizing that you cannot ignore it, and that's what we're seeing. You're seeing more appropriate responses.
Can you use those videos as evidence?
Absolutely.
If the security company gives it to you, if the store
Absolutely.
gives it to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Crawford, what do you think? Where are we heading here? We're going to win this race, I hope, with Mike.
Yes.
You're going to help, and I will, every way that I can, because I want the city that I live in. I live in the city of Euclid. Crime has increased a little bit in the city of Euclid, not that much. I did hear about a policeman that was carjacked in Euclid recently. So that's pretty serious. Didn't have his gun with him, was out of uniform, couldn't do a thing.
Jerry, I think the one thing I would add to your question is I hope, and we really appreciate, on behalf of Mike and on behalf of good government, really appreciate you taking the time to share this opportunity with us, okay?
It benefits all of us.
Well, but the question is, we are identifying something that is crucial at this point. You know, where it's, again, I'm embarrassed that a month ago or 6 weeks ago, this wasn't even on my radar. And all of a sudden it's on my radar, and I hope it's on everyone's ear, the radar about this situation. We are we're cautioning everyone that we have a successful answer and growing and better safety conditions than we had before Mike. We have him now. He should be elected. Someone who's very clever, put a lot of time in setting this up. Two people in the race, no Republican in the race, two people, same party, clever, money pouring in from outside the states, clever. This is not for amateurs. This is something somebody wants, and they don't want Mike, that's for sure, and not because he's an Irish. They just don't want him because of what he stands for is good government and the blue. I'll keep coming back to the blue. These are the people that safety is in front of him, and this is something that has to be taken seriously every single day. And if you've ignored it, and I've ignored it, I'll play it. That's why I asked to come in and be part of this. And thank you for the opportunity, because we have to get this publicity. It is about votes, and it doesn't make any difference what party you're in. If you can vote and you're in Cuyahoga County, it's your future you're voting on, your future and your children's future. You have to do this. You have to get up and do this. We're not going to have a snowstorm like Idaho, I hope. So the question is, it's very simple. We have the best man. He's in the spot. Proven track record. A homer. Grew up here. Everything it points to good future results are in place. We can't let somebody disassemble it, and particularly not even from our community. Or again, a newbie. So it's now down to a few days. We've been lazy at the wheel. Everyone think about this. Jerry, it's like being on Jerry's show is like having breakfast at home, with your kids and so forth. Well, everyone to get up from the breakfast table, and make sure they get down to the poll. And on this is about voting. This is about voting. We have to maintain this. Just think of the setback. If we lose this and lose control of this, and it goes left, 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 we're all going to be very, very sorry.
So if people want to vote, if Republicans want to vote, they can vote for you, Mike?
And anybody, you know, here's the thing, Jerry, I don't know what people in Cuyahoga County realize this, but 70% of Cuyahoga voters are independent, 70%. So anybody can go to the polls on March 19th, or anybody can submit their request for an absentee ballot and pull a Democratic ballot and vote in the Democratic primary. Whether you're an independent, whether you previously voted as a Democrat or you previously voted as a Republican, anyone can pull a Democratic ballot and vote in the primary. And again, this is about community safety. It's about keeping these outside entities and this outside money from taking over the criminal justice system within Cuyahoga County.
Okay, great. Mike, we have to make, how about fundraisers? Are you going to have any fundraisers?
Yeah, I will have fundraisers. People can certainly attend. You can look for, we have a website, O'Malley for Prosecutor. .org. O'Malley for,
yes.
O'Malley for Prosecutor.org. O'Malley for Prosecutor.org. It's critical that people visit the website, but you know, we cannot let outside forces take over the criminal justice system in Cuyahoga County. You know, I have lived here all 60 of my years. I've got a great staff of 400 employees who work hard on behalf of the people of Cuyahoga County. And really, it's about safety, and it's about doing what's right for the people that we represent, and that's what I do.
Okay.
Early voting starts
February 21st.
Annie McCool, grab that microphone there.
Hi,
Here's
folks.
a famous name in Cleveland. Her name is Annie McCool. Ray McCool, I remember him well.
That's right.
That's your dad.
That was my father. Thank you for having us on the show. It is very critical that everybody gets out to vote. February 21st is early voting. March 19th, 2 days after St. Patrick's Day, after we're finished celebrating, we need to come out and get him over the line. All of us, this is our base, all of our Irish ancestors, we built this city of Cleveland, and we need to be proud of it and keep Mike here to keep this all together. Thank you again, Jerry, and Ambassador Crawford.
I would humbly ask for all the listeners of this show and all the residents of Cuyahoga County, you know, for their support. It's critical for the safety and the well-being of our community. And I humbly and respectfully ask for your vote on March 19th. Thank you.
Okay, it's about safety, but it's about maintaining our community and the progress and the financial health of our community also, which is very important. We want people to stay here, and we have to have a safe community.
Safe. We want people to stay here in a very safe community. That's
the number one. It's the number one thing actually when people are looking for a community, isn't it?
Yes.
First thing you ask, hey, is it safe?
Right. Safety followed right by quality schools. So, you know, you look at polls throughout the country, the number one issue is always public safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Mike, you've done a good job up till now, and we hope you keep on doing it. I know you will.
Yep.
And you're going to get me switching back to the Democrat Party.
Well, again, anybody can pull a ballot on March 19th in the Democratic primary. Again, it's about good government. It's about public safety. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not the party. It's not the politics. Good government. I like that. That should be your slogan.
Yes, I would agree.
O'Malley for good government. That's right. Okay, thanks guys for coming in.
Thank you
Mr.
for having us, Jerry,
and
thank you to Team Colleen, JC, everyone for their time today.
Mike,
thank you.
And Annie, where's Annie? She's here. All right, thanks Annie for coming in. And let's get them over the line now. We're going to make sure this works.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
So,
thank you.
Ambassador Crawford, always great to have you. Come in and visit sometime.
Pardon?
Come in and visit whenever you feel like.
I will.
Sunday morning, we'll have breakfast.
I didn't realize you had donuts here.
Oh, we brought the donuts.
The Hibernians.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, as well. Thank you.
Nice of them to do that. Okay, coming up next, here's a great song called Electoral, which is the Swallows. It's sung by a